Good job! You made it all the way to the end of the video series. I'm 100% sure you watched every second, every minute of every other video in this series, and so I'm confident and ready to teach you about measuring success and optimizing over time in your performance influencer marketing strategy. This part is critical. This can be a little bit more technical than the rest of the series we went through. A lot of it was pretty high level, and this needs to be a little more specific. So if you ever get confused, ever need some help, feel free to hit us up in the customer support chat or ask for a call, and we're happy to jump in a call and help you figure out how to set this up perfectly for your situation. Everything comes back to our original video about goal setting and planning. If you remember in that video, we had our coffee company and the objective was to reach 2.5 million in revenue, and we broke down how to get there. So if we continue with that goal of 2.5 million in revenue, we really need to be attributing the sales that influencers drive, and that's what we're gonna do. This is another example where you can really clearly see the benefit of paying creators based on the number of conversions that they create. Because we have these long-term relationships and creators get paid when a user actually buys your product or clicks your link or whatever your agreement is, then it's easy to understand the metrics behind the post and make sure you're not overpaying for results. For those of you who have been in marketing for a while, you know that attribution can be a huge pain in the neck, even for the most straightforward marketing channels. So for the sake of this video, we're gonna stick to the basics. We're not gonna go super deep into the technical details of how to do attribution models and that kind of thing. We're gonna focus on the 80-20 of getting this right and making sure you know where your customers are coming from. And by the way, in the description of this video, you'll find more resources on things like attribution and how to pay out influencers in convenient ways, that kind of thing. So we have our very objective goal. This is not a subjective metric. We have our new customers, basically. How many customers did our influencer actually drive? There's two really fundamental tracking tools to figure this out. One of them is promo codes, which you can easily generate with Shopify or whatever point of sale system you're using in the back end. And the other one is trackable links. Google Analytics or any equivalent to that is gonna make it easy for you to set up UTM links and track your customers as they land on your page. So then creators publish content and they have their promo code in that content and mentioning your brand. And then they have their link, which either is tied to that content, like in the description of a YouTube video, or in their about section or bio on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. Those two simple things, promo codes and trackable links, are going to tell you how many clicks you got, what users did after they arrived on your site, and also help you really clearly attribute the purchases to the influencer when the promo code is used. Influencer marketing tends to be under-attributed because users will see the content, they think, that's really interesting, I should check that out sometime. Then later they switch devices or they leave social and just Google your brand, and none of that is going to be counted towards your trackable links. Or maybe they do click through your link, but then they're retargeted on other social platforms with your other ad channels. And in that case, that attribution is probably going to go to that ad channel, even if influencers were kind of the initial push to get that consumer ready to buy from you. That said, keep an eye on things like direct traffic in your Google Analytics or equivalent analytics tooling, and try to figure out where there's unexplainable spikes in things like traffic or checkouts. And then when you see those unexplainable things, you can go ahead and look at the content that's been published about you. You can track all of your content, when it's published, who published it, inside of Modash with our monitoring tool. It's also going to give you some engagement metrics, like how many likes and comments and that sort of thing that you've gotten. By setting all this up properly, you now have superpowers. You have now unlocked the ability to optimize over time because you know who posted, when they posted, and how well it's working. You can repeat this success. So when a piece of content that doesn't get a lot of likes and comments that you might otherwise ignore drives a whole bunch of new customers, you can take that piece of content and educate your other creators. So keep an eye out for those trends of high-performing content and creators, and use some of those tools that we mentioned in the relationship management video to relay that information to your other ambassadors and make sure you're being more and more successful over time. The sort of things that you can look for are the frequency that the high performers publish in, what's the creative behind what they're publishing, what does their audience look like, what's different about the top performers and the rest of the people in your program. Modash, of course, will help you track a lot of those indicators and get access to that audience data so that you can utilize this kind of strategy. For example, if you see a huge spike in conversions and you go look at your performers, your high performers for that time period, you might see that a really strong piece of content was about gifting. Someone gave their friend or their loved one a gift and it was your product. You can then quadruple down on that type of creative. You can teach your other creators about how well it did. You can keep them updated on upcoming funny holidays or just normal standard opportunities to give people gifts like Mother's Day or maybe Pancake Day or something like that. And then in your recruitment process, you can think about working with people who talk about family or friends or who are in a group of friends in their content. All of that lays the foundation for seeing repeat success in that gifting creative. Another simple example is that maybe you'll see that your lower performers or the middle of the pack, if you're paying attention, maybe they're not mentioning quite as clearly how to use the promo code or giving a really clear call to action to their audience. If you see that the creators who are converting thousands of customers are always saying copy paste my promo code and put it in the box at the checkout, then that might be part of why they're so good at converting their users. It makes it very clear to the user, to the end audience member, what they're supposed to be doing. You can then take that small piece of information and encourage other creators to say copy paste my promo code for 10% off or whatever the deal might be. This could result in like huge lift, actually, huge uplift in conversions. To sum up, you know your goal, you know how things are progressing over time with your trackable links and promo codes, so use that info to be little Sherlock Holmes, do some investigation, figure out what's working, make sure you're repeating success and implementing your learnings across your workflow, and you're going to be scaling in no time. You can pretty much get away with only using Modash for this kind of work, or if you really want to, you can go finding influencers by scrolling, and you won't have access to audience data and that kind of thing, but you don't need a whole bunch of fancy tooling. You don't need a really sophisticated setup. Modash or maybe just a spreadsheet and some scrolling can go a long way. Thank you so much for watching, and congratulations, you now know everything you need to scale a ginormous, fantastic, impactful creator partnerships program. Super proud of you. Hasta la vista. Contact us anytime you need help. Please don't spend your own time trying to research and figure these things out. We're here for you. We've worked with brands just like yours, and we're happy to be of assistance. So see you later, and thanks again. Ciao.